Good evening. The upcoming PKR polls was the main topic of discussion over the past few days, and now Rafizi Ramli has told his supporters to vote for Nurul Izzah in the deputy presidency contest. So why did he do this? Continue watching to find out. Another Jalur Gemilang error has led to criticism and a call for laws to allow for stricter punishment. This time the mistake was by Terengganu PAS, who apologized for what it described as a technical error. Are the US-China trade wars over? Let's take a look. Former PKR Secretary General Saifuddin Nasution Ismail has rejected claims that a potential loss for Nurul Izzah Anwar in the party's deputy presidency race would signal a rejection of her father, Anwar Ibrahim, as PKR president. Saifuddin told reporters today that he didn't see it that way as Anwar has his own standing. He stressed that PKR was born out of what happened to Anwar on September 2nd, 1998. His comments come a day after PKR Deputy President Rafizi Ramli publicly urged his supporters to back Nurul Izzah in the upcoming party elections. At a ceramah in Kedah, Rafizi said PKR cannot afford to have Nurul Izzah lose the race, as she is the party president's daughter and it would send a message that PKR members reject Anwar. Commenting on this, Saifuddin described it as a unique approach which only existed in PKR. Meanwhile, when asked on why he wasn't contesting for the post, Saifuddin stressed that his priority has always been party stability. He noted that there was a need for continuous engagement among the party's top leaders, and his task was to be the moderating voice. Saifuddin added that he is still serving as the Pakatan Harapan Secretary General and has responsibilities to 4 coalitions, managing the engine room and handling Harapan's day-to-day affairs. Let's take a look at what Rafizi said during the ceramah.
Kalau contohnya Izzah kalah, apa mesejnya kepada rakyat? Contoh, mesejnya ialah anggota PKR menolak Anwar Ibrahim. Kalau kalah. Jadi sebab itu Nurul Izzah mesti menang. Dia mesti menang. Sebab kalau kalah itu, kita akan masuk dalam pilihan raya dalam keadaan yang kita tak boleh gambarkan nak berdepan dengan pembangkang dan juga polemik politik yang akan ada dalam dan luar kerajaan. Kerana orang akan kata Nurul Izzah kalah bermakna Anwar Ibrahim ditolak oleh parti sendiri. Kempen saya mudah. Saya nak tutup dengan begini. Undilah Nurul Izzah, saudara-saudari. Sebab kita tidak boleh ada keputusan yang lain. Itu yang akan menyebabkan kita dah berada dalam keadaan itu. Walau macam mana pun pilihan peribadi, walau macam mana pun orang rasa macam mana, kita tidak boleh ada keputusan yang berlainan kerana kalau Nurul Izzah tak menang, maksudnya anggota parti menolak Anwar Ibrahim.
In his speech, Rafizi had also said that he does not want to see PKR going into all the troubles in its party election, but suddenly end up losing badly in the general election. He also blamed party leaders who pushed Nurul Izzah to contest the number 2 position, saying they had created an unnecessary problem in the party. Former Selangor Executive Councillor Tang Chang Kim has hit out at PAS, branding the party as traitors who should be stripped of their citizenship. This was over a logo mistake that featured a distorted version of the Jalur Gemilang. In a post on Facebook last night, he said they don't even recognize the flag. It is shameful and unforgivable. The statement echoes PAS's hardline stance against similar incidents in the past before its own mistake in a logo disseminated last week. Late last week, PAS began circulating a poster promoting its Himpunan Teguh Memimpin Terengganu rally, slated to take place in Kemaman on May 29th and 31st. The logo featured the Jalur Gemilang on the left, the PAS logo in the middle, and the Terengganu flag on the right. However, some netizens criticized the logo for having only 11 points on the Jalur Gemilang's yellow star and 12 alternating red and white stripes. In a statement, Terengganu PAS apologized, saying it was an unintentional technical error and they have taken immediate action to retract the logo. It also expressed thanks for the public feedback over the logo and shared the rectified version that it will use instead. PAS was among those who had previously been vocal in calling for stern action to be taken against past flag incidents. Should there be harsher penalties for mistakes with the Malaysian flag? UMNO Youth Chief Dr. Akmal Saleh thinks so and has even called for lawmakers to draft a law regarding this issue so that stricter legal actions can be taken. This came after Terengganu PAS apologized over its recent mistake with the national flag. The flag used by PAS in a logo had only 11 points on its star with 12 red and white stripes. In a post on Facebook, Akmal cautioned against normalizing mistakes related to the national flag and said it would only be fair to call for stern action against Terengganu PAS. He said if we asked for strict action against a newspaper and education ministry officers, the same kind of action should be taken against those involved in this case so that a lesson is taught. The latest mistake came in the wake of several other errors since last month when the Jalur Gemilang was published with various defects. Former Deputy Penang Chief Minister 2 P. Ramazami will face charges brought by the MACC tomorrow. Ramazami confirmed this but said he had not been informed of the specifics of the charge. He added that he believes they were linked to the Penang Hindu Endowments Board, PHEB, which he had previously overseen. Ramazami told Malaysia Kini that he plans to defend himself against the unfounded charge, which he alleged is linked to a political vendetta against him. When contacted, MACC Chief Commissioner Azam Baki affirmed that the charges against Ramazami are linked to the PHEB. Meanwhile, Urimai Interim Council Secretary Satis Munyandi said Ramazami will be charged at the Butterworth Sessions Court under Section 2(3)(1) of the MACC Act 2009 for using a public office for position for gratification. Satis said the charges might be linked to PHEB's procurement of a golden chariot in 2017 and its distribution of welfare assistance to the public. He also claimed that the charges were politically motivated, saying that it is no coincidence that these charges emerged, just as Ramazami has been openly critical of Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Previously, Bernama reported that Ramazami's successor in PHEB, Arsen Rayer, submitted the board's findings of an internal forensic audit to the MACC. While the DAP MP claimed that the audit had uncovered several red flags, he did not provide details as he wished to avoid compromising any MACC probe. Will Malaysians ever know the full truth about the May 13th riots? More than 5 decades after one of Malaysia's darkest chapters, doubts have been raised over the issue. In a podcast on Kinitv, retired academic Sharifah Munira Alatas stressed that the lifting of secrecy restrictions placed on the documents through the Official Secrets Act 1972 would shed light on the true death toll and the identities of the victims.
I think from the foreign correspondence, we do have an idea that who the majority of the deceased were, the killed. So we can corroborate that kind of evidence. Of course, we will only know for sure once the OSA is lifted off the government documents, which probably, I don't know if we'll live to see that happen, but this is the only way to know exactly the data, to get the accurate data. And that's necessary. For many reasons, it's necessary.
May I?
If I may, you know, from a religious point of view, perspective, given that we are supposedly a country, a nation based on Islamic values, I would say it is the Islamic ethical, moral thing to do to recognize what has happened, and we owe it to the survivors and the victims' families to recognize, to create a memorial and to recognize it every year, to respect them for the lives that they've lost. By silencing, by ignoring what has happened, it is counterproductive. It is the wrong thing to do. It is not the religious way to operate.
Watch the full episode of this Straight Talk podcast on KiniTv.com. If you like the stories we produce, consider supporting us by subscribing to Malaysia Kini. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to subscribe. Is the US-China trade war finally cooling off? For now, it seems to be after the US and China agreed to a sweeping rollback of punitive tariffs for an initial 90-day period. Bernama cited the Anadolu agency in saying that the deal was reached following intense weekend negotiations in Geneva. The deal will see both countries significantly reduce duties on each other's goods, with the US lowering its tariffs on Chinese products from 145% to 30% and China decreasing its own from 125% to 10% by May 14th. In a joint statement which was published on the White House website, both governments acknowledged the importance of a sustainable, long-term and mutually beneficial economic and trade relationship. They added that both parties will also establish a mechanism to continue discussions about economic and trade relations. The representative from the Chinese side for these discussions will be He Lifeng, Vice Premier of the State Council, and the representatives from the US side will be Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury, and Jamieson Greer, the United States Trade Representative. The surprise rollback came after tit-for-tat tariffs that had disrupted global supply chains, which had fueled economic anxiety and has raised hopes for longer-term economic stability. Last week, we asked viewers if they agreed with the government's move to implement the medicine price display order at private healthcare facilities and pharmacies. Around 6,800 people voted, and an overwhelming majority agreed with the move. 90% were for it, 4% against, and 6% said it didn't affect them. For those that agreed, quite a few users highlighted high prices of medicine as being the reason to display them. They pointed out price differences for medicines at pharmacies and clinics and said that the public should know what they are paying for. What are your thoughts on the matter? Leave a comment below and share your views. That is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.